Are we still sponsored by donkeys?
Hi, everybody. This is the Our Church Football Podcast. Kate's a little off today. Kate's having a day. That's all. And the answer is yes, we are still sponsored by donkeys. We're going to talk to them here, talk about them here a little closer to training camp. We're going to add those guys back in. So, yes, we love donkeys. That was hilarious. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is the Our Turn Football Podcast. I am Dana. We have Kate. We have Sonia is back after taking the whole damn summer off.
Sorry, midnight, guys.
She was working. It's not that she was off. She was working overnights at the hospital. So she is forgiven for that. But we are thrilled to have her back. You guys, this is the kickoff of our 2023 season. And I know Kate and I were here last week. We did a whole breakdown of the NFC, which was really fun and got some great comments from you guys and really enjoyed that. Of course, we love that. But this is the beginning. This is the 2023 season, which, as I mentioned last week, I'm still absolutely baffled that it's already time for football, but it is. And so we want to make sure that you guys know everywhere that you can find and follow us. So we of course are live on Facebook and we are live on Twitter when the show is live. But we are also on YouTube. So we want to really kind of remind everyone that YouTube is the only place where you guys can come join our live chat. Talk with us. Give us your opinions. We post your questions and your thoughts live on the air. We love all the interaction, and we really want you guys to be able to be heard as much as we are. So please join us on YouTube during the live, and then, of course, subscribe. If you can't watch us when we are live, which is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, then come back, subscribe. You'll know that we were on, and you can, of course, go back and watch all of our videos at any time. So we want to thank everyone for checking in with us tonight. And, of course, we want to say hi to Camden over in our chat, because Camden comes and chats with us all the time, and we love it. Thank you so very much. All right, everyone, we are going to get into this. We promise this won't be an hour and 10 minutes like last week. It is a much shorter podcast. It was so fun, though. It was such a good one. I want to talk some hot topics, and I think we're going to do this every week now. We're going to start with just kind of some quick fire hot topics that have come up throughout the week. These are going to be short, quick little conversations about what has happened kind of in the week. Now, granted, this is the first week, but first and most importantly is the fact that training camp has begun for a number of teams already. Today's just the 18th. So we have the Falcons, the Ravens, we have Buffalo, Cincinnati, the Browns, the Broncos, Kansas City, Miami, the Giants and the Jets, and San Francisco started, I think, just today or tomorrow. Couple more teams at the end of the week, a couple more over the weekend. The rookies show up, and then the rest of the league starts later next week. But it's amazing to me that we have already hit that spot in time, but I'm so excited. Sonia, you've been gone for a while. So I want you to be able to tell us, where are you at? Can you believe it's time for the football season to start? Are you ready? Are you not ready? I mean, Kate, what'd you say? The Hall of Fame game is what, 2 weeks away? 3 weeks away? I know. Yeah. Crazy.
I don't know where the summer went.
I don't either.
Summer disappeared, but I think I'm starting to get ready to go. Like, always when it's, I don't know, May and June, it's like, oh my God, come on, guys, let's go. But now I'm like, let's get it. Let's go. It's training camp, and, it's starting to get wrapped up, and everybody's starting to get excited and just saying how great their teams are going to be this season. Most of us are anyways. But I just love that buzz and that excitement of a new season and new everything. So that'll be great.
Me too. Kate, I didn't put this on my list, but I want to ask you, what do you think of the white helmets and uniforms that came out for the Browns today? I love them. And they're the right color white. Not that wishy-washy, yucky white. Like, they're the 49ers white, like really white.
I want bronze helmets that are metallic, like the Vikings purple metallic ones.
Yeah.
I want an orange that's like a bronzy, like I see it on cars. Something like that.
Yeah, that would be
because what you're going to see is a whole lot of green grass stains on those helmets because.
Right. Absolutely.
So I don't like the white pants. I don't like the white jerseys. I don't like the white helmets. Somebody's got to do that laundry. Thank God it's not me.
I love it.
Not my
I
favorite.
love it. I think it looks
But-
so clean. I love it. So excited.
You know, it's Cleveland. That's the hot topic today. And I'm like, just anything to distract us from what may or may not happen on the field.
Right. Fair. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I want to talk also, another thing that came up is the pissy piss poor attitude of the Jets being on Hard Knocks. Aaron Rodgers, shocking no one, completely whines about, well, they can make us do it, but can't make us like. That dude, I'm so over Aaron Rodgers. The coach came out, they're going to limit their access. So most of you guys don't know that the NFL basically says we get to say yes or no, whether you get to do this or not. They do have, final say. But you can't tell me that the Jets aren't loving this. I mean, all of that focus being on them. Am I wrong? I mean, I can't, I hate Aaron
So
Rodgers.
it could go either way, right? It could be a really nice thing.
Right.
They could embrace it. They could have fun with it. A lot of teams have had fun with Hard Knocks over the years.
Yeah, the Lions last year
Or-
were so much fun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Or
it was a
it could
blast.
give us a look at what that locker room and what that team looks like now that Aaron Rodgers is there, and it could be a hot mess. I will be tuning in with my popcorn every week. The Jets need to get a hold of it
You're
and
aiming
manage
for the
it
hot
and
mess.
make it look like they're having a little bit of fun with it because it's the Hot Mess Express.
Oh my God. And Saleh is kind of a grumpy Gus as it is. And then you put Rodgers in there. And then you have the cockiest rookie from last year possible in Sauce Gardner. And so, I mean, it's just going to be real interesting, really quick for sure. So a couple comments. We have Camden who says white or black alternates are lazy. But they look so good, Camden. They look so good. And then our friend Graham is back. Graham, we missed you. It's so nice to see you, Graham. He listens in from the UK, so it's very early in the morning for him. But he says the Jets are absolutely crammed down our throats this year, and I couldn't hate it more. I totally agree. So sick of them already. That's what I'm saying. The interesting thing, other thing that really kind of was the hot topic of the week was the running back situation and how Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs and all those guys, Tony Pollard, did not get long-term deals from their teams. They basically are all going to have to play on a tag, which we've already heard from a couple of them. They're not going to camp. They're not showing up. They're not going to risk getting hurt. Don't blame them in any way, shape, or form. But let me tell you what bothered me this week is I know that people are, devaluing the running back position, which pisses me off to my core, right? But because, I'm a Marshawn Lynch girl, you know how I feel about him. But the thing of it is so Matt Miller, who is a draft analyst for ESPN, he put out a tweet that bothered me this week. And normally I agree lock, stock, and barrel with him. And what he said was the new formula, and he wasn't saying, I don't think he was saying he agrees with it. Maybe he was, I don't know. But the new formula is you draft a running back, you let him play through his rookie deal, you play him 1 year on a tag, and you dump him. And it infuriated me because then you have Derrick Henry coming out and say, fine, just get rid of us. Just get rid of us. You guys don't want us. Then you have Rich Eisen saying you're not going to have a dynasty without a running back. And then other people like the running back is the best friend of all of these new quarterbacks, these baby quarterbacks. So it's just amazing to me that the league has decided that the running backs don't matter. And I don't know why. I will say this. I did hear that Saquon Barkley was offered $22 million guaranteed. And I was like, and he didn't jump at that because guaranteed money, right? With his injury history. But at the same time, they're trying to set a precedent. They're trying to say we are important. Sonia, I think you agree with me on this because I saw a tweet that you sent out today.
Yes.
Do you agree with me?
Hashtag pay RBs.
That's what it was. Pay
Oh,
RBs.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pay RBs. They deserve it. I mean, they are a key portion to so many offenses. And I understand, their injury history, and once they start getting that age, but still, you've got to pay them. And if they're going to risk their health and safety, they need that literal safety net of being paid. So pay the RBs, pay RBs. And
there was another comment, and sadly, I can't remember who said it. Oh, I think it was Steve Weish, maybe, that said it, because I retweeted it. And he said, with the amount of destruction they put their bodies through, especially when they're blocking, they should get paid because they're doing double duty a lot of the time. They're blocking, they're running, they're doing this. Being a running back. I don't know. Half of them are receivers too. Like you see all those, the receiving running backs, they're dual threats, and yet they're ignored. It drives me crazy.
So I think part of the reason is they get a bad rep is because you're right. After the rookie deal, they get 1 year on a tag, and then they want a 4 to 5 year deal. And physically, they don't last that long. You don't get the production out of them in general, year 9, that you get years 2, 3, and 4.
Sure.
But that's not the running back's fault. That's the team's fault, because you have one running back and he's a workhorse and he's in there for 30 snaps, whether he's touching the ball or not, and he's blocking and he's doing all the other things. If you went to a 2 running back system where you have a star and a guy we did it in Cleveland, and aside from some play calling, you have Nick Chubb, who's your stud running back, and then you have Kareem Hunt, who could come in, who could give him a break, who's catching balls in the backfield. Systems like that, you're going to get a longer life out of your running back because he's not taking all the wear and tear. And if teams value that position, they need to add a second one, and maybe you'll see a shift. As soon as a team gets to the Super Bowl with 2 running backs like that, everyone will want to do it, right? Because it's a copycat league. What bothers me is in Dallas, you get rid of Zeke, but you're not going to pay Pollard, but you're expecting him to carry that load. In New York with the Giants, Daniel Jones got very lucky last year because Saquon Barkley played out and saved his bacon, and he is still there. And you don't want your running back who's carrying your butt to not be happy with his situation. So these aren't even just like generic running back guy who wants money. These are 2 guys in particular who are going to be carrying a lot of the load and getting a lot of pressure for the success of their teams this year. And you're starting the season off by what they feel is disrespecting them.
And it's the same in Las Vegas right now. Let's admit, Jimmy G's already had surgery this year. God knows how he's going to play. They're going to be desperate. And he was fantastic for them last year. And they just basically have blown him off. But, it's going to be interesting to see the struggles of those teams. They don't have Patrick Mahomes and some of these other bigger quarterbacks to save their bacon. And so they have to have these workhorses that will come in and do it. And you know what? You get against a good defensive team who's going to do goal line stand. You need a running back that can run through them. And if you don't have it, but why would Saquon Barkley potentially put all that extra effort? I don't blame him. And some team next year is going to love him because I don't think he will stay in New York. So, all right, let's get on to our topics for tonight. We each one of us have picked a topic to talk about tonight. And where I'm going to start with my topic. My topic was the new head coaches. And I just kind of wanted a little reminder about which teams had the new head coaches, where they came from, and what the expectations are. And I think there's 2 names that really obviously are sticking out the most. And that is going to be Sean Payton, who's now in Denver after retiring, which all of us knew he was not going to retire. And then we have Frank Reich in Carolina, who had been just like going Indy, right? So he immediately gets another full-time job. Those 2, if you look at this, these are the veteran head coaches. These are the guys who have done it with the team. They know what they're doing. It's all good. What's interesting to me is I am very curious about what Sean Payton will actually be able to do in Denver. And what that is going to come down to, in my opinion, is his chemistry with Russell Wilson. Now, all these people are like, oh, he's going to come in and tell Russell Wilson, what's what and to do this and do that. No. And B, hell no, because Russell Wilson has his strengths. He knows how he can play. He knows the best way for him to play. Sean Payton doesn't play him like that. It's going to be a disaster and probably not Russell Wilson's fault. But then you have Sean Payton, who knows how to deal with that type of quarterback because he had Drew Brees for so long. He gave Drew Brees the autonomy that he needed to play the way he should. And so I think it could be really good, but it's going to have to see how they meld there. The rest of that team wasn't terrible. They had an injury issues. They have a decent defense. They've got some good weapons. It just is going to be getting them all on the same page. We all know Nathaniel Hackett was not the guy. And so Sean Payton could really come in and do some really good things there, or it could completely fall apart this year. And then they have to start over from scratch, get a new quarterback, get kind of everything at that point. Frank Wright, I think, is in the, fall apart. You think it's going to fall apart? Why is that?
I vote for fall apart.
You're going to vote.
I think Sean Payton's been away from the sidelines for too long. And I think his ego is too big. And I'll be eating popcorn watching that show as well.
Mm-hmm. Sonia, what do you think?
She's on a delay.
I am going to say that it's going to work out well. I think I am.
It's okay.
I think it'll work out okay. I think that it's going to take some growing pains, and they're going to have to figure out how to work together. But I think once Peyton kind of gets back in the saddle, it'll be fine. I think that they will get it. They won't win the division, but I think that they will definitely be better than they were last year.
I think so too. And one thing about, everyone knows I'm a Seahawks fan, and there's a lot of Russell Wilson hate out there. I don't hate Russell Wilson, but I also think he's coachable, and he takes what people say to him in stride. Yes, he has an ego too. It just is going to be what their dynamic is from the get and how that works out. So that'll be really interesting. Frank Wright, I think, is in a similar situation. I think that he's going to go in there. I mean, he's got Carolina. He's got this brand new quarterback. Supposedly he's really going to be really good at it. He's got some, decent, weapons for him. I think that's going to be a little bit of a work in progress just because he's got a baby quarterback. I mean, for no other reason but that. The other new head coaches, there's one that really intrigues me, and then two that won't live up to their name, and it's not their fault. So let's start with Shane. Is it Steichen, I think is how you say it, in Indy. He was the offensive coordinator in Philly last year. Obviously, Jalen Hurts looked great. He was wonderful. And then you have Jonathan Gannon, who's the new head coach in Arizona, inherited a disaster of a team, but he was the DC for the Eagles. So these two guys are coming out because the Eagles had such a great season, right? And now they're like, okay, do it in our town with a lot less weapons and a lot less talent. It's going to be easy. I think poor Jonathan Gannon has no idea what he got into with Kyler Murray, and that's not his fault. And hopefully a year in, they'll give him more than a year and he'll have time to get rid of that quarterback. Listen, Kyler Murray is a fine quarterback. He's not the quarterback. So we'll have to see how that works. But that's going to be really interesting. That whole team needs a complete overhaul. They're a disaster. Indy, I think, is in much better shape. I think that they have, some decent weapons there. They have some good things going for them. But I still think living up to the Eagles' reputation is going to be difficult for them for sure. The one I'm intrigued on, ladies, is DeMarco Ryans, a new head coach from Houston. The interesting thing about him is he came from San Francisco, right? Defensive guy. He's coming in. They're all excited about him. And here's what's interesting to me about him. First of all, he is the third black head coach that Houston has had in a row. He was a defensive coordinator for probably the best defense in football. Let's just be honest, right? Amazing players. And he put that scheme together. I'm fascinated because they are going to give him a lot of rope. They are going to give him some room to really grow them a lot. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how he molds that team, especially with all the new, very talented rookies that they have. So I'm going to keep my eyeballs on the Texans this year. I think that one's going to be really interesting. Any thoughts on those three head coaches that came in? And then there's 10,000 offensive and defensive coordinators. I'm not going through that. I'm just going through the head coaches. So.
I love DeMarco in Houston. I love the support that he got from the front office in the draft, right? He got CJ Stroud. He got Will Anderson Jr. I mean, arguably, I would say the best offensive and defensive players in the draft.
Yeah. I know.
I don't know. You Bryce Young fans are crazy. I think they're going to be very, very interesting to watch this year. So we'll see if he's smart enough. He's a defensive guy. So we'll see if he's smart enough to let his offensive staff manage the offense and manage CJ and bring him along and get him up to speed and everything. So I expect him to play this year. They don't have a lot of options. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm most excited to see what he can do with that.
So Camden asked, didn't the Texans have a first-round corner last year too? I believe that you are right, but also they had Pierce, that running back, who we should have mentioned prior, who absolutely murdered it for them. They have pieces. And then they got quite a few in free agency too. And so I think you're right there, Camden. And I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what he does with those and how those players respond to him, because he's really a player's coach. Like the players in San Francisco were devastated when he left. So that'll be really interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lions. So when I asked Sonia what I wanted her topic to be, she goes, I'm totally going to be a homer on my first one back. Sonia is our Detroit Lions fan, but she has an interesting take on their division this year, which is funny because Kate and I had quite a long conversation about the Lions last week too. So I'm going to see if we agree. Sonia, what's up with your Lions?
I woke up the other day and I said they're going to win the division. I don't know why. I just said that, but they are. And then I thought about it. I was like, okay, let's take a look. The Bears, they have Justin Fields. They got, Clayton Claypool, I think their new wide receiver. They got a couple of pieces, but I don't know how well they're going to be able to put it all together. And, they could, but the Lions beat them pretty decently last year, even with Justin Fields running all over the place. So I feel good about that. Green Bay is a hot mess, and we don't know what's going to come of them. I mean, you've got Jordan Love, and you've got basically skeletons kind of left on that team. Aaron Rodgers took his guys and said, come on, guys, let's go to New York.
He really did.
Let's go. So, yeah, and he did. And so you don't know what you're left with. And then I think the team that could potentially give them a run for their money would be the Vikings. But they don't have Dalvin Cook. And Justin Jefferson is their top wide receiver. And you've got Kirk Cousins. But Kirk Cousins, we know, is iffy. He's going to be iffy on any given Sunday. So I don't see why the Lions can't put it together. Even with their yucky defense that they had last year, their offense was high-powered, and they made some good moves in this draft. So I don't see why they are not going to win the division this year. So, boom, that's me.
Kate, it's basically much like we said last week when we were talking about the NFC. Like, it really is, right? Like, we're impressed with what the Lions did. I'm not quite so down on Green Bay. I still think that they have some pieces, but Jordan Love is the biggest question mark ever. But they just seem to be gathering quarterbacks in Green Bay. We're like, well, if he screws up, we got 3 more back here. Let's keep trying. No. But I think that it is. I think if you look at all of the teams, I really think that the Vikings probably are the most complete team. But you're right. Kaiten, we called Kirk Cousins beige last week. He's just beige.
He's beige. At 4:00 on a Sunday, he's fine.
Yeah.
That's how they won 13 games last year.
Yes.
Any other time slot, he's beige. I just, if Lisa was here, she would tell you the reasons why they're not going to win the division. She would tell you it in 2 words. Jared Goff.
I know.
Yeah.
He was great last year, though. Well, great for Jared, but he was great.
Great for Jared, but that was 1 year. If they can bottle that up and capitalize on it, and if they can get that same offensive production this year, they needed the improvements that they made on defense, because the offense or the defense was just terrible field position. There wasn't a lead big enough for the offense, like those kind of problems. So hopefully, if their defense steps up a little bit, we'll be better. Did you like their draft, Sonia? We didn't talk after the draft. Did you like their draft?
No. I did like their draft. I think they got a couple pieces that needed to be in there. And, it wasn't like a total rebuild. So that was also really nice too. And I like the fact that, we've learned now that Brad Holmes is just going to trade. He is a trading MFer. So he's going to trade it. But I do like what he did. He didn't, like I said, we don't have to completely rebuild. We got some people that we can work with. And so I like their draft. I think they're going to, like I said, I think that's going to actually lend to them winning the division.
I have to show this comment from Graham. Aaron Rodgers moaned all last year he had no receivers, and then he promptly took all those no receivers with him. That's exactly what it was, Graham. You are 100% correct. No one wants to play. They're terrible, but I'm going to take them with me to the Jets.
Come on.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, we're gonna bitch about Aaron Rodgers all season.
Oh,
just
yeah.
so you know, because Tom Brady left. Now we have to pick on.
Now
him,
we got to pick about somebody. I don't think that I don't hate the Lions. I'm not down on them. I think they're going to be much improved over last year at 9-8 or 8-9, whatever they were.
Yeah, 9-8.
Again, Jordan loves a crapshoot, so who knows what? And the Bears got to get past 3 wins. I'm hoping they can get to 8. We'll see. But I still think until we see it, this is the Vikings division to win or lose. And if they play poorly, it's right there for the Lions to take. So I'm glad you're optimistic about your team.
I think it's going to be neck and neck with all the pieces of the Vikings.
Be optimistic about my team in the past, and we all know how that's worked out for Kate. So.
Oh, come on. It's not so bad. Well, I don't know. As a Seahawks fan, I'm forever grateful for the Lions. For last year, they got us into the playoffs. So thank you so very much, Lions. All right. So we're going to talk. Kate brought me her topic. It was fresh, hot off the press from when DeAndre Hopkins had been signed by the Titans. And we talked about the Titans earlier in the offseason and how we weren't sure how that division was going to go. It was very interesting that there were, some pieces, but then there weren't, and Derrick Henry and his health and blah, 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 blah. You add in DeAndre Hopkins, it kind of changes the landscape a little bit, doesn't it, Kate?
It really does. This division, the AFC South, was one of 2 divisions in all of football that sent a team to the playoffs that didn't have double-digit wins. At least the Jags were over 500 at 9-8. And we won't talk about the NFC South. The Titans were 7-10, and a lot of fans complaining about Ryan Tannehill. And he's another quarterback that I could put into the same kind of bucket with Kirk Cousins. He's beige. He should be good enough to get you where you want to go. He should be good enough for you to win the division. Things need to fall your way. And they were a little one-dimensional in that Derrick Henry was really their big weapon. He's the name he's on everyone's fantasy league. And he is getting too much work. And I think that by adding DeAndre Hopkins and giving him a weapon, that they have greatly improved their ability to compete with the Jaguars. Because even with just 9 wins, the Jaguars at the end of last year were like a whole different team. And what Trevor Lawrence is doing and what they're building down there could really be something for a while. And this move, in my opinion, was huge in Tennessee, saying to Jacksonville, don't think this is your division. We're winning more than 7 games this year. We're winning 10 or we're winning 12. And what I like about it, I wanted DeAndre on my team. I love him as a player. He only had 9 games last year. He was suspended for the first 6. So it's not like, his numbers last year were terrible. He only had 3 touchdowns, but he was only in, a handful of games because of the suspension and stuff. So he's got some easy miles this last year. I know he's been in the league for a long time, but he was with the Texans for a very long time. And then with the Cardinals for 4 years. So he's a pretty good character dude. He's a pretty hard worker. He's got that experience that you need to keep, the locker room where it's got. So I think this was a very, very smart move for Tennessee. I think it'll give Tannehill a legitimate target, aside from Treylon Burks or Nick Westbrook. It'll give Derrick Henry a break because defenses are going to have to worry about DeAndre and what he's got and what he's going to do and what they're going to do with him. And it'll give Tannehill a longer leash, I think, than coming into this season. And we'll see. They have underwhelmed the last couple years. When I look at that team and I look at, Vrabel and what they've got in their, and especially Derrick Henry, and I see how they have underwhelmed the last few years. They needed to do something to just be part of the conversation because they were not going to be part of the conversation other than the Tannehill watch of how long until he gets benched. They do have options. They've got Malik Willis, which we saw last year when they were, he was in and out of games. But Will Levis is their 3rd string quarterback, and I like him a lot. DeAndre could get Ryan through the entire season. But if something happens, he is also a very good wide receiver to have on your roster if you've got a very young quarterback that you need someone that kind of can work with. I love this for the Texans. I love their chances now in the division. I think, you know, we talked a little bit about Indy earlier. They got a brand new head coach. They're still working through some things. The Texans are going to new coach. They're working through things. I'm going to watch Indy and Houston to see how they improve this year. But I don't pick either of those teams winning the division. I think this move made Tennessee a serious contender because the day before the move, I would have picked the Jaguars to take another big step up, maybe get to 13 wins and just own that division. And now I think Tennessee's going to give them a run for their money.
I mean, look at that division. You're 100% right, because what do you have? Rookie quarterback, possible, like 2 year out from a rookie quarterback in Sunshine. Sunshine is our friend Michelle's nickname for Trevor Lawrence. We just love it, so we just use it. And then you have Ryan Tannehill. So if he can stay healthy, that experience might really, you know, help him there. But if he gets hurt, you're going to add another rookie quarterback. Because I don't think Malik Willis, they're going to see who does better there. And I know a lot of people were real high on Will Levis. So we'll see how that goes. But we mentioned how that division is going to be really interesting. Here's the thing with Hopkins. So, you know, he was in Houston. He was their star. He was there when J.J. Watt was there. That team was really good for a while. And then they started to fall off, as we have seen it do over the last few years. The interesting thing about that then is he wanted to go to a team that could contend. And at the time, the Cardinals were looking like they were on an upward trajectory. They really did. So he went there. What happens? He gets Kyler Murray and gets, you know, Cliff Kingsbury and all of this. Plus he was injured. Then he was suspended. And so.
Did you just use that as a verb?
Yeah.
Did you just say he got Kingsburied?
Yeah, he really did. It's true. It's true.
It is.
I know, right?
I love
Where's
it.
he at? In Taiwan or something, hanging out on an island. So anyway, that's where he needs to stay. But so I think that I think he picked this team because A, he could shine there. There wasn't going to be a huge amount of competition for him there. And B, he could help them. If he was looking for an easy ring, he would have taken the Chiefs or one of the other teams that threw less money at him. He's taking his money because he's at the end of his career. Good for him. But he's also, I think he's there to help and to shine because that's what he likes to do. So I'm excited for him. He hasn't always been my favorite player. Sometimes he says things that makes me cringe a little bit, but that's just ego, right? Like, and I love it. And I'm all about vibrato. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And let's not forget, it was just in 2020. But he had 16 games, 115 receptions, 1,400 yards. I mean, it's not that far off when you remove the injuries and all the things that came with it. So, and the suspension. So we'll see what happens there. I'm so proud of us because we're only at 32 minutes and holy crap, we fit a lot in 32 minutes. I love that so much. We want to thank everyone who hung out with us tonight and chatted with us. We want to thank our chat. Just a reminder, again, you can come join our live chat during our show. You have to come to YouTube. We can't see the Twitter comments. We can't see the Facebook comments. So come to YouTube. Let us put your thoughts up on the screen like we have with our friends Camden and Graham tonight. And then also we will be back again next Tuesday. So again, this is the beginning of our season. So we are going to be here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time until after the Super Bowl. You're going to get real tired of us, but we are excited because there's a lot to talk about. You guys, have you guys watched that quarterback TV show? Have you watched
I haven't. Has Lisa?
No. Oh, I'm sure Lisa has, but you know the hell I haven't. I mean, if it said defensive lineman, I'd be watching it, right away. But because not a quarterback girl. But the interesting thing about that is that there's a lot of hype building up about and they're talking about these three quarterbacks. But I want to watch all these rookies. Like I'm dying to see what they do. So I think it's going to be a great season. I'm excited for preseason. I'm excited that Kate is got her credentials and she will be at the Hall of Fame. So if any of you guys are going to the Hall of Fame game or will be at the Hall of Fame, make sure you keep an eye out for Kate. She will be there that week and the whole week. Oh my gosh, it's a week of stuff. Holy cow. So, But again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We will be back again next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.